Before I get started making the chart, I'd like to show you the data that I selected for this chart and show you where I got it from. This is the set of data that I downloaded from the internet, and I'll show you where I got those from. I did a search for Memorial Day statistics, and I found this website. It's the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Anything that's a .gov that comes from the U.S. government is pretty much free to use because it belongs to the people of the United States, not the government. On this, I saw some visualizations, and this one is dependency and indemnity compensation that people are getting. But if I want to see the data set, I can click on the summary table. You can see this is the data that I'm free to download. And I can do that in all of these. This is dependency and indemnity compensation, recipients by veterans' period of service, survivor pensions. The one that we're going to be using is this one. This is the survivor pension recipients by veterans' period of service. So whether it was pre-World War I, there were still 41 people all the way up to the Gulf War. All right, so I'm back on Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to create a new file. We have some different recent things. I'm not going to use a video file. I'm just going to use a web file. And the common one to use for web is the 1366 by 768. And the common size is something that I usually start with, but I usually end up editing the artboard anyway, and you'll see that in the video. So I'm going to click create, and you'll see very quickly that it makes a page that I can work with here. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my charts tool. By the way, if you're not seeing your charts tool, click these three dots, and you'll see if you come down to the draw section, starting with the column graph, you can see all of the different chart tools right here. Since we have it up here, I'm going to click on this one and hold it. It gives me all my different tools. So I have a stacked column graph, a bar graph, stacked bar graph, line graph, area graphs, scatter graph, pie graph, and then the radar graph tool. So I'm going to click on the radar graph tool, and then all I have to do is drag out a size that I think I want it to be. What's going to happen is you'll see I have a circle. It shows the circumference of my graph. And from 0 going up to 1, I have a y-axis here, but it's going to branch out into, depending upon my data, spokes around the wheel, and those spokes are going to represent the y-axis all around to show where all the different data goes. This is an important piece. This is where I'm putting my data. So let's go back to the data page. And what I want to do is, if I do percentages, I can get all of this on the chart. Or I can do it actually by numbers, but these are going to be hard to show from 41 to 56,000. I would have to leave out the Gulf War era, for example. So I might want to do the percentages here. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to copy and paste things in. So I'm going to go pre-World War I to the Gulf War era. Command-C or Control-C if you're on Windows. Go back to my chart. And I'm going to leave this corner one blank. And I'm going to start here and Command-V, put in those different eras. I can expand this so that I can see all the eras too. Across here I want to put my y-axis, so let's go back to and I'm going to put veterans period of service. I'm going to copy that, bring it over, put that in here, and then I'm going to put the percentages, all percent of total survivors. So I'm going to copy this whole column, and I'm going to come back to my chart, and I'm going to paste that in. So now I have some data, and I have my chart labels. What I want to do is I want to click the check mark to apply them, and what you see it did is it expanded it to a radar chart. It's almost like a line chart that goes around in a circle. The pre-World War I era started at 0. Remember, these are percentage numbers. World War II has the most survivors, Korean conflict, Vietnam era, and the Gulf War. Now what I can do is I can clean this up a little bit and start making it our graph. Let's close this, because I don't need it anymore. And to be able to work with this now, what I need to do is I need to ungroup. Select everything on the page and object ungroup. And you notice I get this message that says selection contains a graph. After a graph is ungrouped, you'll no longer be able to access its graph style, its data, or change its graph designs. I have the data where I want it to be, so I'm just going to click yes. Now notice when I click this, this highlights and all of this highlights. I can make all kinds of changes now to the graph. First thing I want to do is get rid of the lines. I'm going to ungroup, and notice my taskbar here gives me ungroup object. I can click that. So now when I click that, it's only selecting the lines. So if I hit delete, I have no more lines, I just have the dots where I want them. These are small and hard to see. If I zoom in, you can see they start to separate a little bit, but you can see also that those are going to be hard to distinguish. The other ones are further apart, and you can easily see what they belong to. I'm going to zoom back out. And remember, these are going from 0 to 50% because the highest number was like 44%, right? I'm going to put the percentage numbers in here as well, just to make it easier to read. That's basically the way you start. If I wanted to make these proportional, I can open up another new chart, and this time I'm going to use my pie graph tool, and I'm going to put the same data in the pie graph tool. Let's drag something out like that. Let's copy those, and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to just click the checkbox, and you see I have different size dots, and they're all the same color, and that's just the percentage of total survivors. But I can identify these. The zero's not showing anything. This is the 0.7, 44.9, 30.9, so on and so forth. So now I have dots that actually represent the sizes for making a bubble chart. I can color those the colors that I want to use for the different eras. For now, I'm just going to ungroup these, and I'm going to get that same message. Click yes. Now I can copy them, and I'm going to paste them. Now I have my bubbles that I'm going to use, and I'm going to place these on the chart. Okay, well, I want to do some formatting. First of all, I've selected all the text here. You'll notice my computer defaults to Myriad Pro regular and some random size. So I'm going to hit the drop down here. In class, I usually use Avenir. And for chart labels, I want something that can be seen pretty easily. Medium is usually the most visible without getting too bold. I'm going to change it to Avenir Medium, and all of those change at the same time because they're all grouped together. And I'm going to change the size. I definitely don't need it that large. Let's bring it down to like 18. While I have them together, I could change the color from black to darker than medium gray. I can do the same with my circle and with each of the axes by hitting shift. And let's say I want the circle and the axes to be somewhat lighter. This is a good medium tone for axis markings and stuff. Alright, so now I've done quite a lot. What I next want to do is start working with these points. They're all still grouped together. I can ungroup those so that I can work with each one individually. I'm going to zoom in so we could see these dots a little better. Since this one is 0, I don't need that dot because we're not going to be putting a dot there. This is World War I. So this is the World War I dot, if you remember correctly. If I highlight it and hit shift and highlight this one, and then I click on this one, what that'll do now is when I use my alignment tools, it's going to align to where that actual dot is. You see it moved directly under when I did the horizontal align. Now I'm going to vertically align, and you can see now World War I is in place. Okay, so now you can see the separation in each of these. So we might want to get rid of the separation. But for now, we got a pretty decent bubble chart that's radial instead of a flat out design. It's based on a scatter plot and a radar graph. Let me clean it up a little bit and I'll be back in a minute. What I want to do is I want to take the black dot and move it to the front by hitting Command Shift and the right bracket should bring it to the top. Pretty much I'm done at this point. If I wanted to, I can make some more adjustments, but you can see that there are some things that I'd like to clean up. I want to take these dots and make sure they're all lined up. I just need to now add a title. I need to add an explanation for pre-World War I, so I'll do those off screen, and I'll show you some other options you can do. I want to use bullet points here, so what I want to do is I want to put my cursor where I need it to be, and I'm going to click on the paragraph panel again. And you can see I have bullet points available right here. So I made a couple of changes. I wrote 41 survivors received benefits. 0.03% of survivors is too small to show on this chart. One last thing I want to show you is this is a pretty good page size that I selected, but I have a lot of empty space here. So I'm going to use my artboard tool to make that smaller. I'm going to hold down Shift and the letter O, and you can see my artboard tool opens up. So I'm just going to drag my artboard in to make it about even around on all sides with margins. I want to keep my margins pretty even. So now you can see we have a complete visualization of the percentage of survivors who receive benefits from prior wars. This is how I would make a bubble chart, or I could leave them small and just make it a scatter plot of the different pieces of data that I wanted to show.